The federal government has appealed to citizens planning a nationwide protest to be calm, saying both President Bola Tinubu and his ministers are working to change the situation. Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris made the appeal after an emergency meeting of members of the Federal Executive Council called on Wednesday by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, at his office in Abuja. He assured that President Tinubu is working tirelessly and all hands are on deck to ensure that the government's efforts benefit all Nigerians.
These normal meetings that we do from time to time, you know that we didn't hold a Federal Executive Council meeting this week, and we thought that it is good that we all come together to discuss. You can see that this is not happening at the council chambers. It's happening at the office of the SGF. Many of the ministers are here. We have discussed issues of national interest, and all of us are working for Nigeria, and we hope and we believe that Nigeria is going to be great again.
We must all stand in solidarity with the nation, and beyond supporting government, we need to look at the entire Nigerian project and how, the impacts of the economic reforms, especially the macroeconomic reforms of the President Bola Tinubu administration is leading. And the results may not be immediate. We feel the pain of Nigerians, and that's why we must ensure that these reforms actually yield the needed fruit by doing our bit in our own spaces and sectors and ministries, to be precise.
Meanwhile, the All Progressives Congress Governors Forum has also appealed to organizers of the protest to embrace roundtable dialogue, as the administration of President Bola Tinubu is determined to ensure that the current economic challenges is resolved. Chairman of the forum, Governor Hope Uzodimma, briefed newsmen on the outcome of the 2 hours closed-door meeting of the APC Governors Forum. The APC governors are taking the brief to the larger body of the Nigeria Governors Forum, where final deliberations will be made known to President Bola Tinubu.
We are here to deliberate issues concerning our party and our government, the federal government of Nigeria. And we had a very good and quality discussion. And among other things, are very committed to the support we are giving to President Bola Tinubu, our president and the leader of our party, and the support of all his policies, economic policies, and all the reforms he has embarked on.
Let's also tell you that the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, has assured Nigerians that President Bola Tinubu's administration believes in freedom of expression within the confines of the law, but will not tolerate anything that will threaten the lives and property of Nigerians. This was disclosed during a courtesy visit by leaders of the Charismatic Bishop Conference of Nigeria in Abuja. Maria Mohammed has details.
One of the major policies of the Bola Tinubu's administration since inception is removal of fuel subsidy, which triggered the food inflation and caused some level of inconvenience for citizens. This became a source of concern to many citizens who are complaining of hardship across board. Just about 13 months after a one-year anniversary of this administration, there seems to be growing dissatisfaction in some quarters about the quality of governance. Clergymen from Charismatic Bishop Conference of Nigeria are here to declare their support for the Bola Tinubu administration and announce that they won't join the nationwide protests against the federal government.
We wish to appeal to our brothers and sisters who are grieved in different parts of the country to follow the cue of the NLC and to be part of negotiation, to be part of dialogue. Because no meaningful government anywhere in the world.
The minister, on his part, disclosed that the federal government is not against protests, as the president will not shy away from problems but won't tolerate any acts of violence.
Why everybody is very cautious and very wary of this national protests is because we have seen what has happened around the world. We know that it is almost impossible to hold this protest and then have peace at the end of the day. You cannot do that. People are waiting to take laws into their hands. And therefore, governments will always protect lives and property of the people.
He also talked about the renewed hope policies initiated by the federal government that will help solve problems.
Every student that has the necessary credentials to go to the university or polytechnic or any tertiary institution has the right to do so. And not just that he has the right to do so by paying the fees, also ensuring that we are putting some money, stipend into the pocket of the student so that they'll be able to go to school.
Cautious in their approach to resolving issues. Nigerians are encouraged to be patriotic and law-abiding in expressing their grievances as the Bola Tinubu administration is doing all it can to ensure a better Nigeria for everyone. Mohammed, TVC News, Abuja.
Joining us from our Abuja studio is political analyst Kassim Efegbua. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Right. When you look at the papers this morning, it is awash with matters of the protests that a cross-section of Nigerians have called for, and the response of government to that, demanding for more time and more dialogue. But there are those who think that perhaps the government waited a little too late to critically address these issues, speak with Nigerians for them to understand the processes and steps they are taking to address these issues.
Well, it is not that the government waited too long. It is just the fact that the government has not been sleeping. The government has been working. The plethora of challenges facing the government and what the government inherited are not issues that can be addressed in one fell swoop. It has to be a process. We have to go through a process. Some will germinate now, some will mature, some will bear fruits at the appropriate time. There are short-term, medium-term, and long-term solutions to all the problems plaguing the country. We are all aware, including the president. He has said it categorically on several occasions that, yes, he met a lot of challenges on ground, but that he asked for this job and he would do all that is within his power to ensure that he's able to ameliorate them and mitigate them. But, you know, issue of protests, issue of, protestations and agitations, a fallout of frustrations, generally. But when it is easier, for you to build afresh than for you to even repair a dilapidated house. So we had an economy that was quite castrated before the president came in. So many things were being papered under the table that people were not aware of. And taking over the reins of government, the president was now, visited with all kinds of economic doldrums and what have you. So he has to sit down with his team and ensure that he's able to articulate the right solutions to some of these problems. And the fruits will not come immediately. Those that are for short term will naturally come, but a lot of these issues will be long term. It isn't that the president is not taking actions. He's been coming up with policies, framework, and all of that. But Nigerians are generally impatient when it comes to getting solutions to problems. But I want to believe that...
Is this matter about being impatient or a matter of the fact that government may not be communicating in such a way that the people understand the steps the government is taking to address these issues? Because they have mentioned a whole lot, an array of issues that they say are anti-people.
Well, you see, maybe you may say government is not communicating so well, but are the people ready to listen to the communication from the government end? The point is, when your voice is lost in the crowd, there's practically nothing you can do at some point. But just like democracy, you need to continue to dialogue, you need to continue to engage, you need to collectively bargain on issues. The government is not sleeping, the government is not resting on its oars, but what people are saying is that the government can do more. You see, I want to see this whole thing from the point of view that it's all about collective responsibility. You don't single out government as if it's a different institution. The people are the government. How much of our own values...
But some persons have been saddled with the responsibility. They say they took the job and they are ready to do it.
Well, agreed. You take a job. When you are employed, you take a job. There are times when you resume, you discover that your expectations are not what you met on ground. So it will take a little time for you to begin to readjust. You see, for 1 year of this administration, I don't think it's enough for people to begin to write off this government. I am a strong believer of the capacity of the president, but the president must be ready to step on toes. He must be ready to take very bold decisions, to step on toes and do so many things that others will not do. And there are quite a number of steps he has taken in recent times. But some of all of these, which are gearing towards restructuring the country and refocusing our energies on productive engagement, the end result will not come almost immediately. Anything you say now, people will abuse you, they will talk, they will do this, they will do that. But even in our own homes and our own individual engagements, we still mess up. A lot of people still mess up. So government on the one side, the other side is government at the state levels. What are the complementary contributions that they are putting, in front of all of these challenges to also help to mitigate them? What are the local governments doing? Recently, this local government autonomy, you saw the way state governors were against it and all of that. Even till now, we don't even know whether the verdict of the Supreme Court is being implemented or not. But the point must be made that government is a collective responsibility. The state governments are playing a crucial role in helping government to also translate what they do at the federal to the state level. I want to give you an example. Government recently released 2020 trucks of rice to states and all of that. There are governors who are stockpiling that. Particularly the governor from my state, Edo, they are stockpiling in warehouse and they will share to their people because election is coming. And so
now that's an allegation.
You don't share.
That's an allegation you just made.
I can show you videos. I can show you videos of this. So it's not.
Where exactly you have the video? So you have an address. So can you call an address then of where these warehouses are that you said they have to
in Emado Ekpoma. They have been stockpiled in that place. Emado Ekpoma in Edo Central. I'm being specific now. So the point I'm making is that when you hear government giving palliatives, giving even monetary support to states, and when you look at the allocation that the states are also receiving, you begin to wonder what they're actually doing with this allocation. For the first time in the history of Nigeria, only last 2 weeks they shared 1.3 trillion. It has never come to that level. And states that were receiving paltry sum before, are now receiving commensurate allocation from the federal government. Like in my state, in 2023 alone, we received 105 billion naira, 10 billion also for security and 7 billion for palliatives. That's 122 billion. So if you ask me what has been the corresponding impact of that to the economy of Edo State, I will write it off. So the point is there has to be a synergy between federal government and state government and local governments. There are things the federal government can do quite all right, no doubt about that, security, economy, and what have you. There are things the local government can do, security at the local level and all of that. There are things that the state government can do in a complementary manner, such that we know that our federalism is skewed, but at least we can still do certain things to show collaboration, so that
but it's important to state that as we have this conversation and deal with the issues, that we do not politicize this whole conversation, because these are critical matters that we must address for Nigerians?
There are critical matters we must address, no doubt. But even the demands of the organizers of the protesters is already political. When the protest is already asking for, yes, when the protesters are already asking that federal government should release Nnamdi Kanu, that's already political. So anything protest does not just fall from heaven and all that.
Are you certain that is part of the demands that is out there?
I saw the demands listed out. I read them and all that. The release of demilitarization of the Southeast and release of Nnamdi Kanu is one of their demands. You know, so there are some demands that are holistic, demands that okay, that are therapeutic in nature. But again, you can't be asking for a reduction of fuel pump price to 100 naira on the one hand, and you are asking for 250 to 300,000 minimum wage, when government has just signed 70,000. So you see, a mob action, in terms of protests and what have you, there's a limit to which you can control it, so that people don't hijack it, or hooligans and other criminals and all that do not hijack it. And who is ready to bail the cat in terms of writing undertaking that this protest will be peaceful and will be according to rule of law?
But that is why there has been calls for government to engage those who are, calling for this protest. Perhaps they might write an undertaking when they engage with government.
If there's anything this government is doing, it's about engaging in a very constructive manner. Democracy is all about dialogue. It's all about constructive engagement. It's all about even collective bargaining. And so you can't sit back. Yesterday, quite a number of government senior executives and senior officers had meetings. Today, again, they are holding meetings with ministers and everybody and every senior government officials, so as to profile solutions and also see how they can go about this. They will still have a 1 week window to look at all the variables and see how they can arrive at certain conclusions that will be desirable and also help the protesters to meet their demands, or some of their demands. There are some that are realistic, there are some that are unrealistic, if you ask me. But there is always the need for any democracy all over the world, even that of Nigeria, to continuously engage. And if you look at the president, you have to give him the credit. On the issue of minimum wage, we're thinking that heavens will fall, but you see the way he handled it with the labor leaders, NLC, TUC, and all of that, and they, understandably, agree on 70,000. We were thinking that that was not going to be possible. So it depends on how you see government, and because it's a government has access to a lot of information that it cannot divulge at all times. Then, based on those information, they will take the best of decisions. But again, this is Nigeria. You can talk. If they don't want to listen to you, they won't listen to you. If they want to listen to you, that you have a feeling for the people, then you can get results. So I'm happy that government, the president himself, is engaging. He has spoken to Nigerians that they should please bear with him. They should give him more time. That is an assurance.
But Mr. Efegbua,
give him more time. We'll give. Yes, thank you.
Looking at the protest and what you have said earlier, don't you think that the demands of the protesters are legitimate?
Well, I don't know how you define legitimacy, because what government is also doing is legitimate. Government is offering a roadmap. Government is tackling the challenges facing the country. Don't forget that this government inherited a lot of halitosis. And so there are solutions that will take some time for them to mature, for us to begin to see the impact. Protesters are saying that we should go back to the era of subsidy regime. Do they know the internal details, the working details of the subsidy regime? If we go back to subsidy regime at this time, do you know the concomitant effect that will have on the economy?
But looking at what happened after the removal of fuel subsidy, would it be right for them to ask for the restoration of fuel subsidy, looking at the fact that immediately subsidy was removed, the prices of foodstuff, everything went high?
Yes, are you also not looking at the flip side? That it is possible that those subsidy scammers who have so much money may also be precipitating this particular protest, may also be asking for protesters to go on the street so that they can get back to their own business of scamming Nigerians. Are we saying that those who were doing subsidy scam before, that they are not Nigerians? We just need to ask for more patriotism on the part of Nigerians so that in carrying out our civic obligations, we also look at the bigger picture of the country. We need to begin to interrogate certain scenarios. When you go to Petroleum Equalization Fund, which was managing a subsidy regime and all that, you see scenarios where people generate invoices and all that for petrol that was not even supplied. And when they collect this money, they share among themselves. So there is so much, going on in government business, in government office, parastatals and all that. That was why I mentioned earlier that the president must be ready to roast the big fishes. Because in anti-corruption fight, you need to roast the big fishes so that they know that you are serious with what you are doing. He needs to step on toes and ensure that he follows it through. Because at times you give responsibility to, delegate responsibility to subordinates and all of that, their understanding may be different from yours. The president has a very rich experience in terms of oil and gas business in this country. He has worked in mobile before. He has a working experience of what obtains. And so when we see that certain decisions have been taken in this respect, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt to allow time to see what are his own interventionistic programs to ameliorate the suffering of the people and also mitigate the impact of the subsidy removal. Nobody is having it rosy now, apart from certain select people. I am for the Nigerian masses, I'm for the Nigerian ordinary persons, but again, just like you said earlier, we need to deepen the conversation around governance. We need to begin to explain to government what is happening, what has happened, and where we are headed, so that when decisions are to be taken, the Nigerian people also have a buy-in into decisions we are taking to ensure that we get to the right destination. As it is now,
Mr. Efegbua, if you're saying that
collective responsibility.
If you're saying that Nigerians should give the president time, and earlier you have mentioned that government is a collective responsibility. Now, there's this saying that government is a continuum. And so if you're saying the Nigerians should give the government time, don't you think all of these agitations go way beyond this administration?
The agitations go way beyond this administration. But again, we know the character of the previous government before the President Tinubu's government. We know the debt profile that he inherited, about $43 billion, about 27 trillion naira, and ways and means 23 trillion naira, and quite a number of other debts. We know that. But you also have to know that what can generate, what can make your economy to grow, particularly in a monolithic economy such as Nigeria, is your oil. How much of oil are we producing now? We used to produce 2.2 million naira per day, per barrel per day. The thing dropped to 1.7, and as we speak, it's hovering around 1.2 million barrel per day. That means there will be shortfall in terms of your dollar accruals, whether you like it or not, because that is the mainstay of our economy in terms of direct investment, foreign inflows of dollar to our economy. And so, for a government to do that, and to be facing that kind of challenge, you now have to ask yourself, what do you do? If you want to secure our waterways and ensure that our oil is not being stolen from the high sea, you need to invest, you need to put certain things in place. But the people, what you are putting in place is going to be run by Nigerians. As we speak, there are private security concerns that are managing our oil and our waterways. How much impact have they put into the process? You see individuals getting rich overnight. You see people lobbying to go to be posted to Niger Delta because they want to protect highways and they know how much money is going to come into their pocket. So there's so much to be done. That is why I use that word, that the president must be ready to hire and fire. He must be ready to step on toes of certain persons who think that they have become demagogues in our economic ecosystem.
I am wondering
whether we like
whose
it or not,
persons stones you want him to step on, perhaps you might need to be specific. That's on the one hand.
There are bunkers. There are bunkers that are frustrating our oil production and our crude oil production and all that, and what we get at the end of the day. If we were getting 2.2 million, if you are giving 2.2 million
marching orders to security operatives to address the matter of oil theft. But then let me take you back to the issue we raised earlier on the demands of the protesters, where you said they demanded for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. I have looked through all of the demands, and I did not see that. The demand for the release of Nnamdi Kanu has been on even before this protest is happening. The governors had gone to speak with the president to demand for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. How that is being political, I do not understand.
No, it is political because when you are putting it in your demands. I don't know the demands you have seen. That means there are quite a number of demands, because I've read this one this morning, demanding for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. The Nnamdi Kanu case is in court. As much as I personally would want Nnamdi Kanu to be released, it shouldn't be a subject of political engagement or political contestation, and that should form the basis of a protest that is, poised to, help government think, look inward and think a way forward for the country. Governors have waded in, political leaders have waded into this case. They should allow government to also sit back and also take its own decision without being unnecessarily pushed to take a decision. We have to look at the pros and cons of certain engagement before decisions are taken, because it is no government all over the world, carries out responsibility on the basis of mob action or mob request. Because when it is a mob, it becomes an unthinking lot. And but if there are persons, stakeholders, leaders of groups who have very good suggestions to make, to move this country forward, government is already engaging with those category of persons. And the fear of even going for protest is not because we don't want protest or government does not want protest. But if you say we are going out for protest, there are people who don't want protest. But at the end of the day, you see that they also become victims of the protest. It's a two-way traffic. It's just like NLC strike. When NLC goes on strike, there are people who don't want to strike. There are workers who want to go to work. But NLC will go and picket them. So these are the issues. So you have to. And that's
why we have security personnel to manage the whole protest. That's the essence.
But you have seen scenarios. No, but you have seen scenarios where even when security personnel, even when they throw tear gas and all that, you see the kind of accusations that will come after them. The point is.
So invariably, you are saying that our security personnel cannot manage the protest.
You see, how do you manage a mob? Protests are oftentimes a mob action. So you can have your way. All the protests, all the picketing that labor has been doing to their fellow workers who want to work. What have we done about that? So you can turn out 100 people. You can't vouch for their character and conduct. You cannot, because when you turn out 200 people on the street, for example, the way they will behave when they see certain persons is different from the way the other person will behave. And so if they take laws into their hands and the consequences become so overwhelming, what do? We are talking about looking for resources to manage our economic challenges. Now you turn up a mob to go on the street to protest and they destroy things and all that. The same money we don't have will be used to fix what was destroyed. I remember the NSAS protest and the aftermath impact in terms of even losses and what has to be done by government to fix things that were destroyed in that process. Souls were lost. Can we recall them back? No. So we need to be methodical. We need to be patriotic. We need to also give government a chance to think outside the box.
How much more time should we give the government?
Another 1 year from now, I want to see that some of the policies framework of government will begin to yield fruits. Then, between now and that 1 year time, government will also have to deliberately and consciously engage the Nigerian mass in terms of deepening the conversation and conversation and dialogue across board. And government will also have to be talking more of what they are doing, what they have done, and what they intend to do, so that there have to be different cells where this kind of information can reach the public and also reach the citizenry. Once you are,
and that's a fine place to leave this conversation. Our time is up, unfortunately. Okay. Thank you so much, Kassim Efegbua, political analyst, for your time on the program. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Right.